Another day in East Los. Anyways, I just wanted to check in for a little bit, maybe do a shorter video. Um, just having some inspiration. Again, wanted to enjoy the bells outside. Then go down for a nap. Had a good day. Reached out to my friends to propose to them partnership in the sense that come to East Los. You got a wonderful life skills set. Then again, diplomacy training of being an elder with experience when it comes to the real life away from the nice, neat suburbs of everybody being proper. Where tranquility does not actually mean balance. It just means you got better babysitters and cleanup crew. But it's something where we become a woman-owned company, especially one where it's like, are you a burned military wife? Are you a single mom that's got baby daddy trouble? Have you been burned? Is it one of those things you don't know who your family is, or it's something where your own family's hurting you? Is this something where you just need someone that believes in you and will encourage you and hold your hand toward it? Like, how fast can we get someone off the street? Let's make it a game. And then again, it's showing how the free trade system, and again, knowing your rights and your resources, and making do with whatever you have to work with. What can be said about the potential of, again, maybe you need to show how it's done by example, by people watching you, and again being very open about it, and again with the right funding. So I'm letting my friends, letting it marinate in their minds, knowing that I'm going to follow up and keep looking for their asses. And it's one of those, I've been burned by my own sisters. I should say my sister, but I should say if there was a soul sister that ever burned me, there's been a few. But I could say that there's also good women that have treated me with kindness and great hospitality, that, kindness repays kindness. I, however, wasn't aware of, sometimes I was a little bit of a Papita Murphy. Mind you, who came at me and who was there to back me up, and who was there to be quiet, enabling quietly, just again, bystander, letting it happen. And again, trying to get that introduction so you could help out. So, if it's one of those things that I'm doing the future footwork of being a band of eclectics, where we could pass off as eccentric, but if anything, people would see, you see these old women and this young one. If you're thinking the old women look young, and you can almost imagine what the young one actually is, how old she is. These women go from wheelchair bound to toned, dressed fashionable, looking great, owning their hair. To where even with experience and softened, it's something where it's like, how are you guys doing it? What products do you use? It's like, well, what supermarkets near you? And it's one of those, we become the holistic, curanderas. We just, know different languages. It's just looking at us, face value. You would think one thing until it's like you really get to know us, and it's like, oh, wow, you're worldly. And you guys are very humble, and could be barefoot. And again, it's one of those, who needs offsetting. If it's one of those, my balls had to drop, well, they're somewhere. But I still have my ovaries intact, still have my womb, can't push out, need to do cesarean. But I know enough that I'm worth saving because of my blood type. And I know it's one of those, I would love to find monogamy, but I also know the importance of breeding, my blood type. So it's one of those, rather than trying to be messy romantic about it, it's one of those, okay, let's negotiate here. Who here is a good hearted man that needs an heir that values my values and my methods? And again, would like that connection and that invitation to where if there's ever an issue, you got somewhere to sleep, even if it's couch surfing for the night. But then again, it's like to be remembered for your hospitality and people to speak well of you, even if people are speaking badly of you, because mean girl envy. Again, it's one of those, I didn't want to be a Key Club volunteer to become part of the Key Club. And yet I was actually trained to be a key volunteer family readiness group officer, in the sense that I do take the coordinator training, not just to volunteer along with the abundance. I remember enough that I would like to refresh, but then there was other experience. But again, having to go through the system and figuring it out, and again, it's one of those. If I have to teach, how to get the mobile, advocate clinic going, and again, what can you do on foot? What can you do with, backup? What can you do with, yourself? And what can you do with, a vehicle? And again, it's just one of those. How could I, make it a little better and, boost it up a notch? But I can tell you, some people are gonna be like, "Esta pinche melinche," and other times it's like, "No, man, she's being one of the nice ones." And it's like, you want my friends to be the bad cops, and I'll be the nice cop, because there's a difference between a nice cop and a good cop. And even then, it's like, I'd rather be the justice of the peace. And it's just one of those. If I have to show me in my religious robes, it's like, take me serious. I'm not just someone that's spiritual. It's like I'm actually in uniform. And again, if you know how to read uniforms, and again, what the habit, or if not the habit, the Cossack, and everything else attached to it, it's one of those. You have to assume that I'm not allowed to use a firearm, so that means that if I have to be the bare hands, that has to defend these older women. Mind you, they could defend themselves and they can actually own a gun. It's just one of those, I fight so they don't have to pull out their guns. Because they've pulled out their guns on people where it's like, if it takes more than one person to jump you, you don't need to be fucking jumped. And if it takes, having a mother lioness, be like, you guys are pussies, you're not fucking getting shit done. Look, motherfucker, I want my kids back. You fucking walk off, away, and everyone survives on this damn block. Again, it's one of those don't fuck around when we know exactly what we're doing. And even then, it's one of those, are we need to have babysitters? Okay, fine, we'll cooperate. But it's one of those, if it's gonna take bringing the white women that know how to speak many languages and again play dumb, it's one of those, welcome the guardians. Is it one of those, ma'am, do you just need to speak the same languages that we could also translate for you? And then you have your insider here, as in one of your own that knows how to listen and be like, no, they didn't translate that. They translated something else. And again, it's one of those, if I have to sound like I'm this, European, que dice que no puedo aprender los acentos. O si me pongo los frenos y a ver cómo se dice las cosas así. Whatever I have to do, and again, it's one of those, if I have a worldly face and I could travel everywhere and I know how to hide my teeth, then, again, just know how to show how you clean up and how you dress down and having friends all over. I may not be of any clique in the neighborhood or really have a close bond with many, but it's funny who I did make friends with, and again, kindness repays kindness. So it's one of those, how would you like to return to California? And this time, not as a military wife or a friend of a friend. It's one of those, you come here as a homeowner. You have a wonderful skill set that would be open to helping anyone in the neighborhood. And because you do have, experiences, again, I have friends that were prison guards, that were EMTs, paramedics, supervisors in, in distribution, and again, covering, and then they're computer nerd techs, and then they are actually very good riflemen, and then it's one of those, if the pendejo can do it, so can you. And it's one of those, it's one of those, instead of you stripping your clothes off, strip paint. If you got a hook, put some hooks on it, and even then let people know you don't belong here. There's going to be a freaking, you know. And again, it's one of those, I'm now protective to where Hark, who goes there? Do you have any business being here? Again, there's no reason for you to be on this property. It's like, if I can't call the cops myself, then I'll make enough of a bloody fucking noise. Again, just making enough of a fuss to where back the fuck off. Excuse me for the salty Tourette's that was, developed as a result of being pushed around and yet not wanting to hit anyone. And yet I now can argue why the validity of having the right religion for the right reasons and for, custom fit for someone that could adapt to it. And again, it helps them cope and helps them, have a structure. It's not a bad thing to have a discipline. It's imposing one discipline to be a fit all when it can't be. It should not be. I mean, that could be debated very easily, but the proof is if we believe in God, into who we trust as the Commonwealth, and don't give me attitude because I am leaning on God and my concept of heaven to help mellow me out because I've been through enough where it's one of those, am I a danger to children? No. Am I a danger to other sex violence victims? No. But are those that abuse children and sex violence victims? Then yes, it's one of those. Do I become the literal public defender? Where it's like now on payroll. Do I become the free clinic doctor where it's like, well, this situation's going, haywire and it's not being patched up, amended yet. Well, that gets figured out. What can I do for you right now? Like right now. Like now. To where again, if I have to time it where, excuse me, ma'am, are you homeless? Yes, I am. All right, would you like some help getting off the street? Yes, okay, do you mind if I give you some anonymity with some, Groucho Mark glasses and I'm allowed to record this and I help you go through the process of getting you off the street? Yes, do you mind if I time this? No. All right. All right. Okay, we're going to start off right now. 11:10. Okay. Would you like to get off on the street and get on a chair, ma'am? Yes, okay. Bring the chair out. We're at about 6, 7 seconds. There we go. Okay. Are you thirsty? Would you like something to eat? Let's see how far we could get it. Do you need a phone? Do you need an address? Do you need this to get this and that? So you are on your way? Yes, okay. You need somewhere to stay tonight. You got stuff somewhere else, and let me guess, you need genetics to be done to find out what other insurance and who your relatives are, and again, what your rights are, blah, blah, blah. Okay, gotcha. Bup, 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 bup. Alright, let me see. You also have some business ideas and recipes, plus other things that could be useful as a contract educator? Yes, okay. Well, let me say right now off the bat without really interviewing you, you qualify for this grant, you qualify for this assistance, this person can help you, this person can help you, this person can help you, this is where you get your address, this is with your phone, and then bam. Okay, let me guess. I'm at 12:07. I forget when that time I started. Point is, if I have to show up and make everyone say you're making us look bad, then fix the system so it could be made a little faster. Again, more hands-on, and it's one of those, if you have the passion, chances are you've got emotional stigmata if you're wanting to be a freaking, social worker again, something where it's like, get over the judgments, get over the hierarchies and the pecking orders. It's one of those, honestly, it's one of if you're like a civilian raised, presumida with attitude that burns your own friends, it's one of those, and then again, it's like, you criticize me, but at least I don't cheat people. To where, again, who's willing to step up for me, it's like, yeah, we'll hang out over here. We'll be the ones that everyone else is talking crap because we're cute in our own ways, because we're unique. While you girls are, upset about, your lack of confidence, aiming at us, we're the ones that, would actually go deep in the shit and go pull out children. We'd be the ones to actually help, find out whose body is whose. And hopefully it'll prevent there being a need to identify bodies. Even then, if it's one of those, okay, we got to do a wound check, we got to do, scars, tattoos, get yourself on the grid. So if anyone tries to steal your identity, there's proof here. And then as psychics, we could verify, and even then, it's one of those, what uncanny do we know, and what do our labs say, and stuff like that. We got to build out, our own Batman University. Then again, remember, the mystery of the Batwoman, who's to say, my friends and I that don't, that we kind of are about the same height, about the same body frame. I mean, even then we could condition to almost look identical, to where if we're wearing the cowls, you can't tell the difference between this bridesmaid or that bridesmaid. And again, if it's like, if we have to be the ones that, have to help people go out to sea to get married, and even then it's like provide the holy ground to where, us ourselves can marry. It's like, okay, what's the hold up in California, and the reason why people run away to Vegas to elope so they could get this particular representation? Okay, well, let's see here. You need genetics, and you need someone that could marry you, and then the license, and the licensing, blah, 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 blah. All right, what time do you want to get married? Okay, we have this opening here, but you need help with the dress, you need help with the tuxedo. Okay, let's see. Well, okay, we got this already settled. Your genetics seem everything's good. All right. Exactly. It's one of those, if we're going to express it, we're going to show how it's done right, and even then keep the cost low, but be something where, if we have to do the official hand fasting in lieu of a big ceremony, because again there's a rush job just to offer protection. If we have that ability, why not? If it's something where now Washington comes in to see, okay, well, you're proposing these extremes and this is how we balanced it out, adopt this way, or at least know this is what's going to replace your way. And even then, knowing how to again, what people remember, if Washington comes over to our community center, we know to invite them to eat. And again, we know how to put people on the spot as well. So it's one of those, they should come prepared, not only to have, a good time, but also not to backpedal and again, show us their competency, and then be prepared to answer awkward questions. But then again, also be prepared to have very special food. And again, we know to we're observed by those to make sure that nothing isn't supposed to be what it is. And again, for the sake of, safety. But it's one of those, not only will you see that we may be Latinos or about this indigeno Latino raised from East LA, poor jodidos, where we just needed to catch up. We caught up. Now you're asking us to give over our rights to really get rich and give back to our community. Again, it's trusting each other with trusts. Again, it's one of those, don't, it's not enough asking me what kind of business you want. It's one of those, all right, let me hear your plan. I'm saying, what I can do for you. Again, bank manager that was in charge of that particular department dropped the ball. I still know I like that bank because I like going to be able to walk to my bank, but it's one of those, wait a minute, do I need to start a new bank? Do I need to start, again, it's one of those, what can't I do? And then again, it's like finding the right buildings and asking people, it's like, you yourself could do this. Don't depend all on me. But it's one of those, if we need to create a trust, this is how to go about it. And asking the public to help fund my education. Then again, it's one of those, while I stay healthy, that I may be able to provide for myself and, pay for my own education. And even then, educate others on how to get out of debt. So it's one of those, so we wouldn't have to depend on a system of absolutes, to where it's not enough to depend on welfare, and to put a cap on the inheritance. And again, how we could determine what we want to do with our tax deductible, and again, it's just like, what can we do with our finances if we're going to live in a monetary system that doesn't really do too much bartering. But then again, it says, what are we allowed to do? Can we start a barter network? Where it's like, I'm looking for this system. Again, it's finding where it's like, before you learn how to stock trades and all that, learn how to coordinate and broker bartering, where there's no money down. It's an issue where this person has this person needs that, this person could do this. How do you make them all work together? And again, it's having that ecology center showing how you could make money out of trash. Where it goes beyond collecting, recyclables. It's actually separating and selling back to the companies their own bottles, and even then it's figuring out which ones are collectible, and then it's like, what else can we do with them? And then again, it's just one of those, waste not, want not, but again, everything has to be organized, clean, cut together, put together, and again, it's just one of those, who's willing to clean up the mess? Well, usually it's going to be the people who are the ones left behind to clean up the mess. So it's one of those, how would you like to also up the game and find out that if you could actually get paid to clean up even bigger messes, where you actually have the right equipment? And again, it's like a specialty where you know your worth. Because the fact is, not a lot of people have the stomach to handle gross things. So if you have the ability to handle the color red, if you have the ability to handle, again, things that are a little on the funky side, how would you like to get paid a lot of money an hour? How would you like to also work from home? How would you like to reduce the amount of babysitting fees you pay? How would you like to give your children that are maybe going through some stuff some more individualized attention? And then again, with support and maintenance, regular checks, where it's like, don't fear the social workers. If anything, the social worker could fight for you and let you know exactly what's up and what your options, and even help you figure it out. I myself was left a lot to figure out on my own. I appreciate it, but at the same time, I'd rather be the one that's straight up with people. Or if I have to hang out where people normally get, stranded freaking drunk, and let's say there's chicks dressed like hoochie mamas, and it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna chill here. If you need someone to talk to and just, look tough next to you, where, whether I'm here with you or not, it's just one of those, well, you're sticking close to me that's got the light, the phone, everything, and you're dressed like a freaking hooker while you're drunk, and you're not a hooker, or you don't, again, you don't know how to get along when you're drunk, and you're crying on the phone, and people are listening and thinking, oh, this one's an easy mark. She'll get in any car and, a ver qué pasa, and so it's one of those, okay, let's deal with the issue of why you're even in this predicament. Does someone strand you? Because if that's the case, I mean, you may actually be able to charge them with endangerment. Another thing too, how do we know that you're not drugged? Another thing too, so it's one of those, if I become that bitch where, again, I'm just standing here, man. I can't help it if I got stuff on me, and even then, is any of this shit illegal? Am I acting like I'm brandishing anything? As far as I'm just, chilling here, thinking out loud. But again, it's just, it is what it is. But, I just know that, if it's one of those, if the children in the cages need me to show up in uniform, again, it's one of those, being able to speak their language but still have a sweetness to me, and its approachability. And it's like, all right, which children's camps, like Camp Hollywoodland, see if they would take the children in the cages, because mind you, they are our guests and we're not treating them right. And I believe they're entitled to sue the government, or at least the administration responsible for their distress. So it's one of those, let me guess, do I need to help figure out your rights as, trauma victims now because of the substandard care, and then the fact that you're being drugged against your will and yet without representation, and, there's this big move to hold you down, and yet, misinformation on, so again, for public support, and yeah, okay. Mira, señor, señoras, por favor, escuchen. Yo puedo hablar en su idioma y hacer estas cosas. Y aquí es el modo que los puedo ayudar. Mira, pichiquitines, vamos a jugar un juego. A ver qué vamos a hacer feliz con la alegría de la vida. Porque, ¿sabes qué? Mejor dulces que amargos. Entonces, again, if it's one of those, your turn in trying to soothe the nerves of a child if you yourself are not parental. Or again, if children aren't, approaching you because, again, there's just something where you have a vibe to you where a child will be afraid of you. And even then, it's one of those, do you tell children to be afraid of adults, or do you let children determine, to listen to their gut? Again, the younger they are, the closest to heaven they were. So that means that they have more of a psychic sense. So again, if it's one of those, if a child could open up to me, or a teenager, a young adult, or adult, an elderly, have you, and you can't approach, or again, there's no open door policy, or again, there's some sort of issue. It's one of those. Well, I mean, I'm just here as a helper, getting shit done. Excuse the Tourette's. If I'm here helping the situation by creating a sense of balance, and better to have relationships that get along, that way if there is disorder we could quickly bring back order and get the generators back online, to say we totally like get ourselves off the grid, or at least have an option to where we could still run our businesses, we could still have clean water, we could still have plumbing, we could still have some sort of security where it's not waiting for riots. And again, people having to remember, people they got their right to bear arms. So people had to bear arms. And then again, when you're like me, and I can't even afford to get, even if I want one. But it's one of those, if I can't legally own a gun, and I'm not in a position to buy a gun, but it's like, what else do I got? And again, it's sometimes, the most you really got is your voice, your memory, and your ability to communicate. So if that's the case, expect some funny communication. And even then, it's like, what you see now you may not see later, or you may not understand what you see, but either way, we know, fun ways to let people know. It's like, yeah, we're eccentric, we're more eclectic, but we're all American. And here, at least, if you have people that are fair-minded, and they'll let you know straight up. And if it's one of those, we don't know anything, I mean, do we? Or don't we? It's like, even if we did, it's like we're allowed to plead the fifth. It's one of those trust your judgment. We're more, like-minded than not, and chances are we actually have past life, if not current life, genetic connection that would make us get along. So if that's the case, it's one of those, by all means, bring in the right white people and be like, disculpa señora, ¿qué puede decir usted de la situación? Pues, ¿qué le puedo decir a ustedes? Esa es la situación. And even then, when you got a country hit coming, you get another country hit, and they're only able to talk the same songs, and even the same food, where it's one of those, let me guess, you haven't had Jamaica before to know it's very similar to southern sweets. Hey, let's cut some fruit into it. Not just peach, let's throw in some guayaba. You don't know what guayaba is? It's guava. Again, it's one of those, if we, let people know how we know how to party as adults. Where, it's like one of those, if we smoke up our smokes, it's because we're trying to get rid of them. And even then, we know that if you could build up a tolerance to smoke, then you could handle smoky places. And again, it's one of those, if you ever had to put out your own fire, or, again, it's one of those, we act, we respond, we stay calm. Some of us have natural training, some of us have technical training. A lot of us have one thing in common. We're very parental. We love our friends that are really our friends that had our back. We're the type that give and give and give. People have taken, taken, taken. And it's one of those, if we're done, better to be a group of friends that are parents that would watch out for each other's children and everybody else's, where I don't care who you are, where you come from. It's one of those, are you being done dirty, or are you the one doing others dirty? Are you one of those that's part of the helpers network, or are you who are helping protect the children against, so I mean, excuse the ability to speak in many different ways and have my scary sounding voice, and then, my funny voices, and being able to be adaptable to wait till I'm able to enunciate clearly and say the proper pronunciations for very difficult words, to where at this point it's one of those, how white am I? White enough to freaking read in different languages? How white am I? Enough that I could survive in different places with the right genetic makeup. How white I am. Enough that I know what Obata la Laguna fucking means. Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. Disculpa, Virgen Santa Mía de Mercedes. Ay, a veces no entiendo las cosas, pero otras veces I understand them very, very well, and yet being salty with a very low sodium count. It is what it is, as you were.